It is March 15th, and today I want to make a video on how to plant a determinate style tomato. Now, there are two main types of tomatoes. There are indeterminate tomatoes and determinate tomatoes. Well, there's really three types. There's also a semi-determinate tomato, but that's a story for another day. But long story short, a determinate tomato is what they call a bush type tomato. The other tomatoes that I already planted earlier, they are indeterminate types. They grow like a vine. They will grow indeterminately, meaning they will not stop growing until they're killed off by frost or disease. A determinate tomato grows to a determinate height. It sets all of its fruit at once, it ripens the fruit, and then the tomato will die off as soon as the fruit gets ripened. And then you'll have to rip it out, throw it away, and put something else in the spot. So this is the only determinate variety that I'm growing. It's a Bushsteak Hybrid. It's just a seed packet I bought from Home Depot. It's from Burpee Corporation. I'm only growing one of these because, frankly, for me, there's no real reason to grow a determinate tomato. They tend to not produce as long. The fruit tends to not be as good. So the only reason why I'm growing this, personally, is for the early wow factor, so I can get earlier tomatoes. Because these should set, the determinate varieties usually set well before the indeterminate varieties. Now, that's not to say that there aren't good tasting determinate varieties. It's that they're just, for me, more interesting and exciting determinate or indeterminate varieties, and in my very limited space, I'd rather grow them. So I'm going to grow the determinate variety in a 7-gallon container instead of the normal 20 gallons that I grow indeterminates in. And that's because these suckers will grow 7, 8, 10 feet tall. They'll grow as tall as you let them grow. These are going to grow to only about 3 to 4 feet tall, so they're not going to need nearly the amount of root space. So that's if you have just a little small porch container garden and you don't have a backyard. Well, now suddenly determinates become a great idea. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to plant this just like I'm planting an indeterminate tomato. This is a pre-prepared 7-gallon container with compost and topsoil in it. I'm going to throw in a small handful, very small handful of bone meal and a small handful of 555. I'm going to mix that up really well. And remember, there's already been additional 555 crab and lobster shell meal and magnesium or Epsom salts added to this for magnesium. So that's why I'm only putting a little bit of fertilizer in here. I'm going to pop it out of its container. You can see the nice, well-developed root system. I'm going to ruffle them up a little bit to encourage them to grow down, and I'm going to place that directly into the hole. Now, I am going to bury this tomato a little deep because the side hairs will grow into roots, and a good root system is critical here. But I'm not going to bury it as deep as the indeterminate varieties. And the reason is the indeterminate varieties will almost certainly get diseased by the end of the season due to the natural humidity in the area. This is going to die off probably before it gets any kind of disease. So I'm not going to prune this. You don't ever want to prune a determinate variety tomato. You want it to vine out and bush out as much as possible to get as many individual fruits as possible. So the rules change for a determinate style tomato. So I'm going to water this in really well. And overall, the determinate variety requires a lot less care, a lot less maintenance. The season's a lot shorter. But if you really like the low maintenance determinate varieties, if you like the low maintenance, hey, you can get 2 growing seasons out of determinates. You can start more seed now and then time your plants so when this one dies, you'll have another one in its place to replace it. And you could even probably overwinter these if you have the right climate. You can bring them in at night and throw them out on the patio. They're so small and so light. Well, these are the perfect kind of, you could even, in certain climates, you could have 3, maybe even 4 growing seasons. So determinate varieties, while not usually as exciting as the indeterminate varieties, have way more versatility because because they don't have to be staked in place. They don't take up huge amount of room. They're less susceptible to disease because they generally die off before they can really be damaged by some type of blight. So a lot of advantages to them. You should probably have a couple in your garden to get the season started, and to increase your chances of success in case it's a bad tomato year. So that is the ins and outs of the Determinate tomato. Thanks for watching.